culture, killing each other, stealing each other's cattle, burning their villages. As I said, we are going to treat them in the language they will understand. We have given the police and the military power to be ruthless.
Sometimes we get that, and that's what's happening to people in the streets. That's where they're moving. That's why they're demonstrating. That's why they're defying even threats from the police, from the government. If you demonstrate, you're a threat to us. If you do this, we'll deal with you. We'll talk to you in language which you understand. It doesn't wash with anybody any longer. Because if the nation is on a suicide slide, the people who feel that they do not deserve that kind of suicidal plunge, they have a right to say, sorry.
The problem is Northwest. The same people, same culture, killing each other, stealing each other's cattle, burning their villages. As I said, we are going to treat them in the language they will understand. We have given the police and the military power to be ruthless.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. Yeah, I'm Noah Omoluabi. Thanks for joining us and thanks for watching this program. Today, we will be looking at the leadership issues concerning the Yoruba people in detail. The Yorubas gloat in the achievements of their leaders, in spite of local, communal names, nicknames like Orikis, like they know it. Every Yoruba man or woman, identifies with Kurumi, Lagelu, Ogumodede, Moremi, just to mention a few. They are a genetically sophisticated people who understand the value of true leadership. They excel in this cultural value, and they've shown the world, by they have this democratic way of choosing their leaders, selecting their leaders, a process that takes them at the final stages to their gods, to whom they present a short list of candidates and decide who should be the next head or king, as it were, if it were a town or a city of the people, but who should be leading them. But we are talking of an entire race at this point in time, the Yoruba race. But the Yorubas seem to be at some crossroads right now. Well, the field is surely narrow, and I'm sure many Yorubas have their antennas, sieving the airwaves, in these challenging times a dynamically challenging political situation, that they found themselves in this struggle of in the failed state called Nigeria. Awo, or Bafemi Awolowo, seems to be the yardstick, the standard that remains difficult to attain, yet alone excel. Today we are taking a look at why the bar is so high, why he has raised the bar so high, and a list of 5 to 6 potentials who probably could fill his shoes. But the problem remains: who should the Yoruba people be listening to right now? Unfortunately, last week Barrister Tony Nadi could not join us. He sent us some recordings that he made for us to fill in the gap for the information, to fill in the information gap that we could not attend to last week. So that's the link to find those YouTube details. Information that is sent to us. I can bet you, if you want to get educated on what the force majeure is and its purpose, what's it supposed to achieve, and how the level of enforcement it is gaining right now, you need to go and visit those recordings. But we still have this problem. Nearly a month after the government took these people from Igboho's house, Lady K is still, is still at large. We don't know where well, the DSS knows where she is, but we don't know where she is. They've not presented her in court as one will expect. And in a land filled with lawyers, engineers, doctors, pastors of intellectual repute, as it were, are they cooperating with mediocrity or criminality? Why is nobody saying something? Leah Shaibu is still missing. Today they are picking up emirs at will. And you are still, looking for good candidates to lead a certain race. Is it a slavery of sort? Or is it some mental issues? Is it something that we need to get worried about? But worrying us right now is that the Nigerian Bar Association is rather quiet. It's rather quiet about what's going on. But like I said, in the political dynamism going on, the Yorubas, as sophisticated as they are, have this challenge. They have this challenge. And, right after the break, we'll be looking on, the Yorubas. What is their problem? What is their challenge? What do they really want? Excuse me. What do these children, what do they want for the future of their race, for these children, protesting this way? So right after the break, we'll take on that challenge. Thank you.
Nigeria has become a union of death for the rest of us. The global powers have told Nigeria in very clear terms that guns should be kept out of the table of discussion, and a dialogue opened up with the owners of the sovereignty, with the people. Time is now to go discuss with the owners of the sovereignty that is now called Nigeria, and to work out constitutions that will work.
Welcome back, everyone, and thank you for joining us once again. To help me explore the situation of this leadership challenge of the Yoruba people, we have two eminent scholars, two eminent people here. I have Dr. Oladele Olusanya. He's a physician, but he's a historian as well, a writer and an artist of repute. He's written extensively about the Yoruba people, so he knows a lot, and he will be anchoring, that part for us in great detail in a minute. And I have Reverend Simon Olatunji also with us. Reverend Olatunji is the director of media services for the Yoruba Nation Global Directorate. So you can't have it much higher than that, to trash this issue of what's going on with the Yoruba race and how are they going to get, this political situation or economic situation, I don't even know how to describe it, that we have found ourselves. How are we going to solve the problem for our youth, for the future of our youth? So please help me welcome Dr. Olusanya.
Okay, thank you very much. Good. I'm very happy to be here again to maybe throw some light on the plight of the Yorubas in the present in Nigeria. We also go backwards and say, who are the Yorubas? What have they achieved? And what do they present to the world? What do they represent for the future of the black person? And then why are they appearing at this point to be so powerless in defining their destiny? We will examine that through the eyes and through the leadership and life of one particular individual, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, who for about 2 decades held sway as a prime political leader that was recognized all over the world. His legacy lives on in a term called Awo'ism. So today we are going to explore what is this Awo'ism and who is the best person on the scene today who we could think could best approach that standard. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Olusanya. Before I pass the mic on to Reverend Simon, I wanted to ask you, what's so special about the Yoruba people anyway?
Yeah, the Yorubas are the most dynamic and the most productive group to come out of Africa after the colonial era. Recent census shows that about 50 million Yorubas live all over the world. The Yorubas' heartland is in southwest Nigeria, but they also live in 2 other countries in West Africa, which is the Benin Republic and Togo. And we have very sizable Yoruba communities in Cuba and Brazil, where in fact the Yoruba traditional religion of Ifa has been accorded a state religion. Yorubas have won Nobel Prizes if you in America and in England and other Western countries. The Yoruba diaspora has made a very big impact in fields such as medicine, law, even sports. Yorubas have won Nobel Prize. They've been presented for recognition in Hollywood, and Yoruba fashion in form of ashoke, adire, has become a staple of fashion from New York and Paris to London.
Thank you, sir. Reverend Simon, do you agree that we have a leadership issue? The Yoruba people have a leadership issue at this point in time?
The music is still there.
Huh?
The voice is still not here.
Okay, I think we'll get back to Dr. Olatunji in a little while. I was going. Okay, let me just ask.
Yes,
Dr. Olusonya.
Yes, I can answer the question. Yeah, the reason that Yorubas do not have a leader right now is because in the current situation of Yorubas belonging to a country called Nigeria, Yorubas have been sidelined from the central power hierarchy so that it appears they don't have a leader. And the leaders that we have, or those who are in the prominent eye of the public, are not united. They're not speaking with one voice. So the only way the Yorubas will have a leader is when there is a genuine effort to create either a region for the Yorubas that will have autonomy to create its own future, or when the Yorubas eventually have a nation state. So when you talk about leadership, you have to talk about leaders of a group that has some kind of authority to affect or effect its future. So the reason why we don't have leaders right now is because we do not have anything on the ground for you to be a leader for.
Well, thank you, sir. We're going to have a short break right now, and after the break, you will remember that I mentioned about Awo, who has created a standard for every Yoruba leader, to try to attain to. So right after the break, we'll be discussing who is this Awo, what is it about him that is so difficult, to overtake or to accomplish.
Hi. Meet Dr. Noah Omoluabi, or Pastor Noah as you may prefer, depending on the business setting. He is ably qualified to talk about igniting the fire of leadership in young people for the purpose of creating their own legacy. He is the thought leader behind the concept of culture psychology for acquiring the office of the chief executive. No professor teaches anyone how to make friends. As your new hire walks out of the college gate into the corporate space, the innate forces are ignited for an ambitious career based on cultured leadership skills and a sound understanding of how to build profitable workplace networks. He may be engaged with chief executives, trying to convince them about necessary changes to be included in their leadership programs. He coaches senior executives, holds small group seminars and webinars, as well as facilitate large workshops. Noah is schooled in organizational management. His international exposure in many roles gave him the opportunity to live and observe the many theories of leadership development in businesses and to coach many young people, igniting their ambitions to hop along the career leadership pathway into
to bear God-pleasing fruits. And that's the point of the Holy Ghost baptism. Understanding the point of the Holy Ghost itself, is an endowment for
Grab
Christians.
Noah now to energize your Generation Z for impactful business career visions and Holy Ghost-inspired church growth.
Welcome back, everyone. We're asking about, right in the interlude, we were talking about Awo. And for me, I've had cousins, young people, recent graduates who've wondered, you all talk about this Awo all the time. Who is he? Who was he? Why is he on every street and every wall and every university and everything, in the Southwest? What's the legend about him?
Okay.
Dr. Lusayat.
Okay. So Awo was an icon. The word Awo was actually a nickname given to a man whose real name was Obafemi Jeremiah Awolowo. He was born in Ikene in the Jebo area of Western Region in 1909, and he died in 1987, age 76. From a very early age, he had a concept of making the black man come from under the colonial strangulation. He imagined himself as a champion of native liberty, in the line of the great Herbert Macaulay, who was his inspiring guidance. By 1944, he went to England to study law. He was called to the bar in 1945. While in England, he formed the Egbe Omo Yoruba, which is still in existence. And when he came back to Nigeria, there was a mark-fasting constitution by the colonial government to give self-government. So Awo used the situation or the opportunity to form the Action Group in 1951, which successfully won the election for the West, and therefore Awo became the first premier of the major region of a dynamic country called Nigeria in the British colonial structure. Awo used this opportunity of that 10 years when he was Prime Minister to lay out his political legacy. This was based on 4 pillars. The first is true federalism. Awo believed that Yorubas and other groups in Nigeria should be given the right to have a voice in the center, with these regions being very strong to determine their affairs. That is federalism. Second thing was that the people deserve a visionary leadership, which means that it wasn't just for him to be a prime minister. He laid out a plan, 5-year plan, 10 years plan that he put into place, which was really to help the youth discover themselves. The backbone of this was education, free education for young people. The second was providing free health services for children. And the third was the commercial. It was a liberal ideology, which was close to what's obtained by the Labour Party in England at that time, which was use the government's power to redress social ills, to give free education, good health, provide sports activities, commercial resources for the people. So right now, we can say that Awo's legacy to Yoruba people is what we call Awo'S, which is a welfare system whereby the government uses its money and power to help the poor, such as education, free health, commercial services like sports, television, and co. And then to create commercial activities that will actually create money. So he created the Odua group of companies, which means that it's not a kind of Cuban kind of socialism where the government is poor. In our vision, the government will be powerful, rich, and that will translate to people becoming rich and using their natural talent and skills to make money for their people, but not in a negative, selfish way. It is to make sure the money goes back to people to educate and to improve the life of people.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Olusoya. Well, I do remember Cocoa House being a controversial issue with in the Akinjide Bolage election. Those people who are old enough, to remember that. Looking at the screen, you can see the picture of Anike Agbaje Williams presenting that's the first television show in Africa, and we had a TV even before France, most countries in Europe. Where that tallies with the Cocoa House is that the Cocoa House, in fact, was the first skyscraper in Africa, and all of these were happening under the effort and the effects of what Awo did. But the Akinjide Bolage, political discussion or debate at the time, ended abruptly when the proceeds, when Bolage was talking about the proceeds from cocoa being used to train Yoruba people. And, it was a very hot debate because they were opposite, and Bolage was a protege of Awo. But, the kind of thing that happened under Awo, the kind of landmarks and achievements that the Yoruba people had under Awo, are so remarkable that those people who were there at the time, that's a picture of Marina. That's the economic hub of Lagos itself. And these are the kind of, that's what Dr. Olusoya was.
And can I just
I was just going to pass it on to you.
Coming right now, when you mentioned the Marina, the first skyscraper in Nigeria wasn't the Cocoa House, it was the Western House that was actually built by Awo right in the heart of Lagos on Broad Street. Okay. So what Awo did was to use the money, the taxes from the cocoa industry to actually improve the lot of the people. There's no controversy about it. Many people became rich, but the poor became uplifted. And then it went ahead to say, we're not just going to be like rural, we're going to create the first modern economy in Africa. So it went to Lagos, they chose Apapa, made it into a very cosmopolitan area. They chose Lagos, bought the land there, and built the first skyscraper. In fact, the federal government couldn't even build anything that they did. They built the first stadium in Africa, which is the Liberty Stadium. And then they went to Ikeja and built the GRA. The GRA in Ikeja is still one of the prime areas to live in Lagos, and that was by the Western region as a minor area. In fact, the GRA in Ikeja was not even it wasn't even their capital. So we can see that the vision of Awolowo that you describe as controversy wasn't controversial. That's why this man became an idol, because he didn't use a penny of the people's money to enrich himself. Before he came to power, as he was a well-known lawyer, he made all his money privately, from private practice. And when he became premier, he did not live in a government house. He lived in his own house in Okeado.
Well, which I remember very correctly.
He lived in his own house.
Well, we went to the same primary school, and I used to see Awo in the morning.
He lived in his own house. He didn't take any money from the government to run his house.
Yeah, I could see him when he wake up in the morning and comes on his balcony.
He drove his own car. He has his own driver. It wasn't paid by the government. So that was let's say what we're trying to say.
Yes.
That leadership Awo gave to Nigeria was exemplary, and it was actually never rivaled, either by any Yoruba man or by any federal leader, except that our left is, you can say, is the people who came after him, like Bola Ige, like Lateef Jakonde, who actually went further and made it.
Hi. Meet Dr. Noah Amoluabi, or Pastor Noah as you may prefer.
So today, what we are trying to say is that we want leaders in Yoruba land who will emulate those qualities of Awolowo, which was exemplary leadership, honest personal life that is free from scandal, and thirdly, a vision which is based on the kind of pragmatic social policies that is comparable to what the Democrats are doing in America. You use money to help the poor. You spend money to give people to go to school. You forgive debt. You increase what do you call it, health care to go around the population. It is not the communist idea of Cuba or the old Soviet Union.
Thank you, sir. And this particular picture we have, this particular graphic we have on, is very telling about because we're going to be, right after the break, we're going to be talking about who are the potentials, who transiting to the new, transitioning to the new leadership, or because Awo is no more, who should be filling his shoes, which is one of the things we are talking about here today. You are looking at the Elephant's House. The Elephant's House used to be the headquarters of Odua Investments, you heard Dr. Olusanya talk about Odua Investments when I was familiar with that particular corporation. But if you look carefully at that graphic, it says Lagos Revenue House. And when you talk about Lagos Revenue, you're talking about one man, Mr. Tinubu. Okay, workers' money and taxpayers' money in action. I'm just, waking up your memory so you can, follow this program and see what's going on and where we are going with this discussion. I'm not sure Odua Investments still has a flaw in that house, because I know there was a battle, between Odua Investments and the Lagos state government on that issue. So, right after the break, we are going to talk about who should the Yoruba people be listening to now.
Nigeria has become a union of death for the rest of us. The global powers have told Nigeria in very clear terms that guns should be kept out of the table of discussion, and a dialogue opened up with the owners of the sovereignty, with the people. Time is now to go discuss with the owners of the sovereignty that is now called Nigeria, and to work out constitutions that will work.
Thank you and welcome back. Yes, so we've learned a lot about Awo, and I'm sure if you go, do some research, you learn more still. And I'm sure we're still going to talk more about Awo as we talk about why, what should the Yoruba people be looking for? What should they be looking for in their next leader? Or who should they be listening to right now? These are very important. These are important times in the life of the Yoruba people. Undoubtedly, these two people are at the forefront. They are at the forefront of the struggle right now. Even Professor Akitoye says if you were to recommend a political leader for the Yoruba people, he will have immediately recommended Tinubu for what he did and the way he's been able to conquer the political landscape of Nigeria. I mentioned earlier on the idea of taxpayers' money in action. It was when Tinubu came on the scene that slogan came into Lagos. And like I said last week, the transformations, most of the things we are seeing in Lagos today, came on the heels of his new system of running the state and trying to improve the landscape generally. I don't know about the economic prosperity of the people, but at least the people of Lagos felt good that something, was happening, something positive, economically positive was happening in their space. So he has his own achievements. And Professor Akintoye also has his own achievements, particularly he's been with Awo anyway all along. I mean, Awo held his hands and he was tutored by Awo. But he right now is leading the self-determination group, taking a strong, solid stand against most of the leaders of the Yoruba race. I'm talking about Professor Banji Akintoye, right there. The point is, at this moment, I see him right up in front. But we have others. Dr. Olusoya, can you...
Okay. Yes. I would like to say that Professor Akintoye is not going to be a good leader. He's an historian. He's just academic. He has no experience in leadership or in running any corporation or even in running any part of the government. We need a leader for the Yorubas who is younger than that. Professor Akintoye is 80 years of age. You are not going to put an 80-year-old man to lead a strong, dynamic country. It's not going to happen. Secondly, it doesn't have the historical. It doesn't have it doesn't have the experience to be a leader. It's okay for him to agitate for nationhood and to go to United Nations, but not to actually govern. We need people who have experience in that. I personally will not pick what the guy you first mentioned, Tinubu.
Okay.
Because Tinubu is so controversial. He has his finger in too many commercial pies. He doesn't have to be clean. In fact, people said he made his money from drug dealing. That is not the kind of thing you want to attach to your leader. You want somebody who will follow up to say about Awo'S, a clean person, totally clean, personally and commercially. You make your money separately. You don't involve it in government business like Mr. Trump in America. You don't do that. So that's what Tinubu is going to do. He's going to want to continue to make money when he's in power. And that's going to create a large degree of conflict of interest. When you survey the scene, I want somebody who's had experience. I will pick a person who was the governor of Lagos State and who has shown that he has personal integrity. And at the same time, who we think is well educated and knows the world. Can I pick the person I would like to choose?
Yes, sir. We're waiting.
It will be the Honorable, the former governor of Lagos State,
Fashola.
Babajide Fashola. I think that's the right person to pick to be the leader of Yoruba people when we have either our region or our nation state.
Well, viewers, I'm getting in the charts. We definitely have others. We have Ayo Adebanjo currently leading his own group. He's led the Afenifere group to which Professor Akintoye himself has, actually emerged from. The point remains that, like you said, Professor Akintoye is too old to get into the political seat at this point in time. And he has said it himself. He's not going into politics. His fight right now is not about leading he's like Moses. It's not about leading or becoming a president of Yoruba nation in the political sphere or anything like that. And which takes me to the point that all these other faces, that you have on the screen, General Basanjo, they may be Ààrẹ Ọ̀nà Kakanfò or whatever they want to be, but they cannot be Awo. I'm not sure Wole Soyinka is in that sphere as well. People have mentioned him. He's a voice in Yoruba land. People have mentioned him as a potential leader, political and military or whatever, as a king. The rallying point, essentially, like Professor Akintoye, is a rallying point, and there's so many groups behind behind Tinubu as well. So many political groups behind Tinubu as well. But right now, we think, like Professor Akintoye keeps on saying, we need a rallying point. We need somebody to be our representative, a rallying point. So is Vice President Oshibanjo a good choice? I don't know. I'm not sure about the age aspect of it, which takes me also to my dear friend, Mr. Adesina, the current president of the African Development Bank. He's the youngest of the lot that we have discussed. He's 61 right now. But, I mean, he looks still sharp and young in that picture, but will a 61-year-old not even qualify?
Can I mention this?
Yes, sir.
It's not just having the name recognition. You have to have political skills that are proven, that you have shown. Mr. Adesina doesn't have any political skills at all. You have to think of someone like Clinton, Obama. They are intelligent, but they want politics. You need Fashola. You need somebody who has been a governor. He knows how to put people together, how to separate diverse interests, and print out an agenda that is successful. You want a proven political leader. You don't want someone like Wole Soyinka. In fact, when he was asked about Yoruba nation, he said, "Oh, he doesn't even want a Yoruba nation. How can that be your leader?" Let's stop talking about people just because they are famous. And in terms of Simbajo, he's too tied with the government of Buhari. That is going to make him a stinker. Even if he tries to change, it's too late for him, unless he resigns from that government and it comes out clearly. But not if he's tied to Buhari. In the case of Obasanjo, he has had his time. He's so controversial. He cannot be a leader. So it has to be a younger person, but somebody who we know he has done something in the past, and we can trust him to do something.
Well, we have a suggestion in the chat. Somebody says about Mr. Showore. Is he qualified to be the voice of the Yoruba people? You remember I started by saying, and we are talking of the word regent. Yeah. Somebody the gods will even choose, as when you have done your own shortlisting and your own interview, is Mr. Showore capable of being the leader of the Yoruba people? Point of correction, sir. Mr. Adesina was a minister of Agric.
But
he was about the second Yoruba person, non-Chiroma person to be a minister of Agric.
Okay, I know.
And his tenure, Nigerians know, was remarkable.
Nigerian Agric has never been remarkable. Never. So there's no way anybody who was commissioner for Agric in Nigeria will say
minister of
Agric will claim that as a calling card. So I will say that we need somebody with a proven track record, not a minister of Agric. In my own estimation, unless you are minister of petroleum in Nigeria, no other ministry in Nigeria is important or has achieved anything in the last 20 years.
So with the current batch that we have of governors, will Makinde, since Mr. Showore has not made it to, will Makinde make it? Will Makinde be a good
I think so. I
candidate?
think I've met Makinde. Is dynamic. He has charisma, and he has agenda that he follows. He will be one of those ones. And he has made his money in private practice. He's not going to try to steal your money. He's already comfortable. He wants to give himself to the people. You can sit him.
Well, Dr. Olusa, I somebody say, we are not just talking about a political leader now. We are talking about the voice. Somebody who guides.
Okay, if you are talking about the voice, that is not the leader. So the voice is just a voice, and that will continue to be Professor Akintoye. We are talking about, you said the king, that is the leader.
Yes.
So we have to think of the leader, not just, we have a voice right now. The voice is Professor Akintoye. There's no doubt about that. His voice is very clear, sharp, and unwavering. We want Yoruba nation. That's the voice we want. No. But we're talking about the leader.
Yes.
And that leader has to be younger, has to have a track record, has to be honest, exemplary, has an honest life. And it cannot be tied too much to the present dispensation.
So we are down to Babatunde Fashola.
Or even the governor of Oyo State.
That's Makinde.
Yes,
That's Makinde.
yes, because he's also very young. He has proven himself. Even though some people may feel that in Oyo State he hasn't actually countered the threat from the Fulani herdsmen. But in terms of his working hard for his people over the past 2 years, he has achieved something in Oyo State.
Okay, we keep on getting suggestions from the chat. We will take them right after this break. He's becoming.
Yes.
Hi. Meet Dr. Noah Amoluabi, or Pastor Noah as you may prefer, depending on the business setting. He is ably qualified to talk about igniting the fire of leadership in young people for the purpose of creating their own legacy. He is the thought leader behind the concept of culture psychology for acquiring the office of the chief executive. No professor teaches anyone how to make friends. As your new hire walks out of the college gate into the corporate space, the innate forces are ignited for an ambitious career based on cultured leadership skills and a sound understanding of how to build profitable workplace networks. He may be engaged with chief executives, trying to convince them about necessary changes to be included in their leadership programs. He coaches senior executives, holds small group seminars and webinars, as well as facilitate large workshops. Noah is schooled in organizational management. His international exposure in many roles gave him the opportunity to live and observe the many theories of leadership development in businesses and to coach many young people, igniting their ambitions to hop along the career leadership pathway into
to bear God-pleasing fruits. And that's the point of the Holy Ghost baptism. Understanding the point of the Holy Ghost itself, is an endowment for
Grab Noah now to energize your Generation Z for impactful business career visions and Holy Ghost-inspired church growth.
I welcome everybody. Welcome everybody. Yeah, we keep on getting inputs from the audience, and seems everybody is determined that Yoruba must go. Yoruba nation is the self-determination is not negotiable. But who is going to? But we have had Professor Akintoye. He said he's not a political leader. He's not interested in the politics. He just wants to make sure he hands over. The Yoruba nation. Yeah. But when that is done, who will the Yoruba people be comfortable with to bring back a life that is as great as, maybe we are going to throw it into a vote, to bring back a life that is as great as Awo'S has put in our mouth, Well, like I said, we've heard from, they say Awo'S is not a Yoruba man. Well, we've heard about Fayose and Dele Momodu. You can see we have work to do. We've had Fashola from this end, and we've had Makinde.
Yes.
From our end there, from what we can estimate, Makinde seems to be in the lead. But if we encourage you to contribute, to the discussion. You have written why people are coming in. Yes, yeah. Keep on giving us your suggestion. Dr. Olusanya is going to talk about the Yoruba people a little bit more, to you in a minute. Yes, sir.
Yes. Let's talk about the Yoruba people. Before we have a Yoruba nation, we have to know where we came from, so we can plan where we are going. Which means we must have a good idea of our history and our mythology. That equips us to be proud of who we are, so that we can live up to expectations. And we also want our children to know that, so that they will know they belong to a special and unique people, just like the ancient Greeks, or even the Hebrews, or the British, or even the Americans. And that is why many years ago I wrote this book, which is called Gods and Heroes. It's been described as the best book written by Yoruba author about the Yorubas for the Yoruba people. It starts from the ancient mythology of Oduduwa, and it goes to all the great heroes and conquerors like Onyamiya, Moremi, Ogun, Shango, up till the time of the end of the old Oyo Empire with the collapse of Ilorin after the treachery of Afonja. The book 2 goes into the 19th century, the era of warlords and the slave trade, which ended with the British imposition of the Protectorate in 1896. And then book 3 comes from that to the modern era of the Yoruba leaders of the 19th century like Herbert Macaulay, Awolowo, Tai Solarin, and other eminent people like Darocha. So I will know that we have heroes that we can emulate. So I recommend. I'm not writing this book for money. It is to give us a sense of purpose and historical destiny. It is called Gods and Heroes, Book 1, Itan, Legends of the Golden Age. It's obtainable on Amazon and other online sellers. And on this radio show, we'll be giving out this book from time to time for those who call in and who qualify or who want to read the book. Thank you very much. And in book 3 of the book, which is the New Age, there's a whole chapter on Awolowo and the foundation of the modern Yoruba nation, from our language, our education, music, especially highlife, juju music, and Fuji, to our sports and cultural achievements. So it is a complete book about what it means to be Yorubas, where we came from and where we are going.
Thank you, sir, for that presentation. Well, somebody is also asking about Akeredolu here. They are nominating Akeredolu as a new one. It's only one hand that is down for Makinde. So he seems to be as popular as Dapo Abiodun. I know the name. I'm not personally very familiar with his politics, but it's time. It shows that it's time for the Yoruba people to start thinking deeply. Like Dr. Olusoya has said, we need to read the book. We need to read those books to understand who we are. It tells, and even for our kids, for our children, to let them know who we really are and what makes us tick. Not just about the Awo, revolution. That is there for history. Well, who are we? What makes us so special? What makes us tick? What makes us tick? That is very important for us to appreciate and to know. Right after the next break, we'll be talking about, giving you the results of our votes, and we are next. What is next? Of the poll, rather.
Hi. Meet Dr. Noah Awo'S, or Pastor Noah as you may prefer, depending on the business setting. He is ably qualified to talk about igniting the fire of leadership in young people for the purpose of creating their own legacy. He is the thought leader behind the concept of culture psychology for acquiring the office of the chief executive. No professor teaches anyone how to make friends. As your new hire walks out of the college gate into the corporate space, the innate forces are ignited for an
Nigeria has become a union of death for the rest of us. The global powers have told Nigeria in very clear terms that guns should be kept out of the table of discussion, and a dialogue opened up with the owners of the sovereignty, with the people. Time is now to go discuss with the owners of the sovereignty that is now called Nigeria, and to work out constitutions that will work.
Welcome back, everybody. Next week, we'll be, tackling this issue of insecurity in Nigeria. And what exactly is the problem with the insecurity issue. We've been mentioning, the role of our professional organizations. What are they doing to help what's going on? We had the news last week of the government paying headsmen in Kebbi, and there were photographs of them all over the place. Meanwhile, nothing seems to be going on, moving forward with the people that were arrested, the bodies and the people that were arrested from Sunday Igboho's house. Nnamdi Kanu, we have not seen him in a public court. And the question is, what are the professionals doing about it? What's the NBA doing about it? It seems at the center, like we keep on saying, of all of this is the determination of Buhari to hand over power, or at least continue the process as it were, as it is right now, after 2023. And the determination is to keep the peace, keep everybody quiet, so that that process goes on and passes on, as usual, and they hand over to the next set or series of people who start negotiating and telling all sorts of stories. So it looks like election 2023 is the main problem, is the focus of the government and even the people. And we had this flyers come out during the week, the flyers and the promotion for that electionary campaign. And people are embracing it very, very well, to be honest with you. Question is, everybody that is cooperating with that idea, whether they are for self-determination or not, are they endorsing criminality by being, complacent and being comfortable with what is obtaining in the society at this point in time? You have to think very deeply about that. Why is Malami untouchable? Why is he untouchable? Why, nothing? Because the moment he did what he did and people were saying he should resign, everybody said nobody can touch him. Nothing can happen to him. Nothing can happen to him. And nothing is happening to him. And doctors and engineers and everybody is comfortable. Now, the government recently took charge of new aircrafts. The point is, will those new aircrafts that are coming just be for Boko Haram? Will they be able to liberate Leah Shaib, for instance? Or will it be to take care of opposition voices to the agenda of the government? We will be breaking those down next week, and I want you to keep it here. Just be with us and subscribe, so that you don't miss anything. We're going to be discussing this self-determination agenda into greater detail for everybody. Like I said, break it down for everybody and for the world to see. We need help from outside, but we need to be honest with ourselves and know what we are doing and how we are going forward, with events. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Dr. Olusoya. And thank you, Reverend Simon. Unfortunately, technology didn't help us too much.
Technical problems.
Oh, well, technical problems are corrected because technology is still flowing, right? Technical problems didn't help us too much there, but I know he was here, to help us, run this program. I'm very grateful to everybody. You want to say something, sir?
No, nothing. I just want to thank our host, Noah, for his usual perception of hitting the nail on the head and getting to grip with the topical things of interest. And I'm sure that we're all looking forward to next week, when it's going to help us dissect the fact that he thinks, or he wants us to know if going along with the Buhari's plan for elections is actually playing into the devil's plans and being complacent with criminality.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Thank you.